So how can the story of just one family from thousands of years ago possibly be the blueprint for the entire world? It sounds kind of wild, right? Well, that's exactly the claim we're diving into today, exploring the incredible journey found in Genesis, chapters 12 through 50.
So right out of the gate, the Old Testament makes this just remarkable claim. And you have to understand, for its time, this was absolutely radical. That the God of one small tribe, the ancient Hebrews, wasn't just their local God, but the one true God of the entire universe.
And that was a huge deal. I mean, think about it. Back in the ancient world, it was like every nation had its own god on its team, right? You had Baal for the Canaanites, Isis for the Egyptians, and so on. But what Israel was saying was totally different. Their God wasn't just some local protector. He was the creator of everything and everyone.
Okay, so here's where the story takes a really interesting turn. After spending 11 chapters on, the whole of humanity, the narrative camera suddenly does this massive zoom in. All of a sudden, we're laser focused on just 4 generations of a single family. And there's a reason for this. It's to show how God's huge cosmic plan can unfold through the very specific, very human lives of people who trust him.
And the whole thing kicks off with a guy named Abraham. Now, get this. Abraham isn't some simple nomad out in the desert. No, he's from Ur, a big, sophisticated city in ancient Babylon. He's surrounded by all its culture, all its gods. So when God calls him to just up and leave everything, his home, his family, his entire sense of security, for a place he's never even heard of? Wow, that is an unbelievable leap of faith.
But here's a super important point. God picking Abraham wasn't about playing favorites. It's kind of like this. Imagine a parent gives candy to just one kid in a room full of children. The point isn't to spoil that one kid, right? The point is to teach that kid how to share. That's the idea here. Abraham's family was chosen to be a channel, a way for God's blessing to eventually flow out to all the nations.
But this journey is anything but easy. In fact, it's built around this constant, recurring test. It's a central conflict that every single major character has to face, generation after generation.
And this gets us to the absolute core tension of this whole story. It's this idea of faith versus flesh. Now, this isn't some simple good guys versus bad guys thing. It's a much deeper choice. Are you going to trust in God's long-term invisible promise? Or are you going to reach for what feels safe, what feels comfortable, right here and right now?
And we see this exact choice play out right away with Abraham and his nephew, Lot. When it's time for them to split up, what does Lot do? He looks around and picks the best-looking land for himself, the lush, green plains near the city of Sodom. It's the obvious, comfortable choice. Abraham, on the other hand, he trusts God with what's left, holding on to that bigger, long-term promise.
So this fundamental test, this choice between faith and flesh, it doesn't just stop with Abraham. Not at all. It actually becomes the defining challenge for his kids and his grandkids too. And it's so cool how the promise gets passed down. It's like each generation has its own unique role. Abraham, he's the one who first gets the promise. His son Isaac kind of quietly inherits it and lives it. Then you get Jacob, who literally has to wrestle and fight to make that promise his own. And finally, his 12 sons, they become the promise. They are the seeds of this new nation. Yeah, Jacob's story is a huge turning point. He gets a new name, Israel, and the meaning is just so powerful. He who struggles with God. See, his transformation wasn't about just checking boxes or following rules. It was about this deep, messy, internal struggle that in the end lined him up perfectly with God's plan for his life and his whole family's future. Okay, so if you want the ultimate example of faith being tested through just unbelievable chaos and hardship, you have to look at the story of Joseph, Jacob's favorite son, which caps off the book of Genesis. I mean, just think about what this guy goes through. His own brothers, his own flesh and blood, betray him and sell him into slavery. Then he gets to Egypt, does the right thing, and is falsely accused and thrown in a dungeon for years. If you're looking at it from the outside, his life is a total train wreck. It's just one injustice after another. But then, years later, after this incredible turn of events, Joseph is now the second most powerful man in Egypt. And he comes face to face with the very brothers who sold him out. And you're thinking, here comes the revenge. But instead, he delivers one of the most incredible lines in the entire book. He sees God's hand in all of it, saying, "You guys, you meant all of this for evil against me, but God meant it for good, to save many lives." All right,
So, with Joseph's story in mind, let's pull the camera back out again. After all this intense family drama, spanning 4 whole generations, the big picture finally starts to snap into focus.
So think about the journey we've been on. It all started with a call to one man, Abraham. It then flowed down through 4 generations, and every single one was defined by that same test of faith. And what's the result? Well, a single family has now blossomed into a people, the very foundation of an entire nation.
Yep, those 12 sons of Jacob, they become the heads of the 12 tribes of Israel. That promise made to Abraham all those years ago that a great nation would come from him, it's finally taking root. This family has become the seed of a nation, and they're ready for whatever comes next.
And that's where the book of Genesis leaves us. This family, the one chosen to be a blessing to the world, is now a big clan, living as guests in a foreign land, Egypt. The stage is set, but you just know their journey is far from over. And the book leaves us hanging with this massive question: what on earth is going to happen next?